Maui emergency authorities are defending the decision not to sound sirens during the wildfires' peak. And officials said they were afraid people would have fled inland into the flames. The cause of the fire is under investigation. Hawaii officials say more than 3,000 acres between 3 wildfires have been destroyed on the island of Maui. Now, some residents say they've been receiving calls from wealthy real estate investors and developers who are trying to purchase their fire-ravaged land. But as Lilia Luciano reports, Maui is not for sale.
There's a new worry for Lahaina residents who survived the inferno.
Lahaina is not for sale. I repeat, Lahaina is not for sale.
Hawaii's governor is considering a moratorium on all land transactions in Lahaina to protect locals from opportunistic buyers.
Please don't approach them with an offer to buy land. Please don't approach their families to tell them that they're going to be better off if they make a deal.
Hawaii already has the highest housing cost in the nation, with homeownership out of reach for many residents. On Maui, the average home price is now $1.2 million, while the average income stood at just $88,000. Archie Kalepa, a 9th-generation Lahaina elder, says the recovery must be in the hands of locals and natives.
We're here to hold the line. We are here to hold the lines and get the rest of the state of Hawaii behind us.
That's what Kylie Dindinger and her partner Ray McGorry did when they took in a 3-generation family of residents who lost their home in Lahaina.
We were already at a housing crisis. We just want them to stay.
They're also holding the line by expanding their family from 2 to 6.
Ohana.
What does that mean?
Family. It's a Hawaiian word for family.
And Lilia joins us now from Kula, which is on the island of Maui. Lilia, you touched on this briefly in your reporting, but what is the Hawaiian government trying to do right now to protect the land devastated by wildfires from wealthy investors and realtors?
That is such a big question, Jerika, because, I mean, as we heard, the governor is saying that they're considering a moratorium on any land transaction. There are laws in place in Hawaii that protect the land from precisely those threats. But as we know, Maui has been home to very, wealthy people, investors. I mean, it's been in the news that throughout Hawaii, there's been all these concerns from very powerful people like Mark Zuckerberg, or the CEO of Oracle, who owns almost an entire island. And as you know, being Puerto Rican, I have covered extensively the similar concerns in Puerto Rico because of tax incentives that are given. So it's not just the concern over the possible immediate predatory offers that are given to people or that are feared to be given to people. The concerns go far and well beyond. So we talked to an elder, to a local community leader who's a 9th generation, as you heard Archie there, 9th generation Lahanian, and he was telling us, look, even the aid that is coming in, we are very skeptical of what we are accepting, because sometimes they say we fear that the deals that are done with the best intentions have some other meaning under the table. Of course, this is all speculative. It's hard to know exactly, who is being offered what, but I did talk to a local, to a native, who was telling me she has a gorgeous piece of land, a beautiful home that burned entirely to the ground. We talked to her earlier this week, to her and her granddaughter, and she says, I can't tell you how many realtors are constantly coming here, leaving brochures, trying to buy this land. And like we heard in the piece, she's one of those who say the land is not for sale. For people from Lahaina and throughout Maui, I mean, their connection, the natives' connection to the land, isn't just cultural or historic. It truly is spiritual. Lahaina was the capital of the Hawaiian kingdom. It was the land of all 3 Kamehameha kings. So it holds the burial grounds that are sacred to the Hawaiian people of kings and ancestors. So that's why, when it comes to their need to stay, to protect the land, to being gentrified out or permanently displaced, whether it is because of a disaster or because of the cost of living, it hurts them deeply.
Yeah, and to know the cost of living is so much higher in Hawaii than any other place when you compare it to the U.S. and how hard they work to keep that land, as you said, it is clearly a major concern. What is the timeline, though, or has there been even a timeline set for how long the rebuilding process could take in Maui?
Sharika, we were driving yesterday, the first day that Lahaina opened the roads, and it is really just miles of devastation. It's so difficult to comprehend how the cleanup efforts will go. I mean, I've covered wildfires in California and gone a year later, sometimes 2 years later, and the rebuilding is not done. And I'm talking about areas that are just a fraction, a tiny fraction of what was happening here. Also, we're talking about an island that doesn't deal with wildfire, or an archipelago that doesn't really deal with wildfires as much as they do in places like California. So a lot of the supplies, you know, the labor, a lot of the what is needed to rebuild is kind of new and probably needs, you know, to be shipped in. So when we talk to officials, when we hear from them, they're talking about, you know, weeks, if not months, just for the recovery and identification efforts. Rebuilding, and that's part of the danger. The concern is that when the eyes of the world go somewhere else, that is when the opportunity presents itself, when it's just the locals left on their own to fend off those other interests. That's where they say, you know, I hope that everybody who's helping stands behind us, lets us lead with our ancestral wisdom and with respect to the culture, and also doesn't forget us and allow for things to happen that are not in the best interest of natives.
So true. Lilia Luciano, thank you.
Thank you.